ITVC. Kindly welcome Dr. Amitasavi, MCom, MPhil, PhD, MPhil, PhD, Director, Department of Business Administration. Welcome our steering part of our department, Dr. V. Sugati, MBA, MPhil, PhD, Head of the Department of Business Administration. And welcome our faculty participants from our institution and our other institution. Last but not least, we welcome our organization committee and faculty, our MBA department. Kartika, I want to say very sincere thank for this welcome address. I heartily welcome Dr. M. Maria Anthony Raj, Assistant Professor and Head Department of Social Work, Kalasalingam University, Srivillibutturu, who has enormous experience in the field of social work and research. He has been carrying out his research past 10 years, besides published and present copies of research papers at national and international level. He is also a mentor of many research scholars across the India. Through Urban Group, an online education platform, his passion towards research, push towards it, and continuous. We welcome Mr. Dr. Maria Anthony Raj, the research person of today's section, to start the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to, my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. And first of all, I would like to thank to your management, as well as your principal ma'am, and our HOD Suvandi ma'am, and other department staff members, and my beloved students. And thank you for your wonderful introduction as well as song. And yeah, thank you so much. And I feel so happy to meet you all, the participants in this wonderful program. And it's my pleasure to share my knowledge with you. Yeah, let us start with recalling the yesterday's session so that I can continue from that. So could you please tell me that what are the things you have learned yesterday, my dear participants? You can put it in the chat box also, no problem. If you feel hesitate to on your mind and speak, just you can put it in the chat box. What are the things you have learned yesterday? Yeah, thank you so much for your response from Narendra Kumar as well as Priyadarshini ma'am. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I hope you may discuss about the basics of research methodology and what are the things connected with data analysis and data entry in SPSS and basic data view as well as variable view. So all those things in the SPSS as well as descriptive statistics and end up with chi-square. I guess this is the scenario yesterday. And today we can start from that. And if you have any doubt in the yesterday's session, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we can start today's session. If you have any few doubts, otherwise we can discuss about that a little bit later. That's no problem. So we discussed about methodologies, review of literature, data analysis, and data entry investigations. Okay, that's good. And you may discuss about variables also, variables as well as nominal ordinary interval ratio. That means levels of measurement. That also you may have discussed and what test you have to use at which time, right? So which test at which time. So that's very important. Okay, so let's start today's session. Yep. So I won't take much time to sum up all those things. Just give me 5 minutes to sum up all those things, and we can start immediately to our today's session, right? Yeah, basically, research have details and qualitative research, quantitative research, and mixed methodology. So all these things, and I would like to tell you tips, important tips for you. So please note it down if you want. And if you are using qualitative research, most probably you won't need of statistics, right? If you are using quantitative research, then only you need statistics. And mixed methodology, you may need statistics. So first you should understand whether your concept is measurable or not. If your topic or if your concept is measurable, then you can go for statistics. Otherwise, you should not do, right? That's important. Yeah, as my previous research person discussed, like research problem identification, research design, there is a connection between research design and data analysis. If you are using higher order design like descriptive design and experimental design, diagnostic design, then you will go for statistics. Otherwise, no need. And sampling techniques, if you are using probability sampling, then your statistic will get accurate results. If you are using non-probability sampling, then it will be difficult to arrive the accurate results, right? So there is a connection between sampling as well as data analysis. That's why yesterday the resource person discussed about the sampling, right? So one more trick is there, means secret is there. See, if you are going for probability sampling, then you will get normality. If you are getting normality, then only you will have to use the parametric test, which is called as the t-test, ANOVA, correlation, and everything. If you are not getting normality, then you should use some other statistics, right? So which is called as a non-parametric test, Russell-Wallace test, magnitude test, so all those things. So first, you have to check it out whether your data is normal or not normal, right? So there is a connectivity between the research design sampling as well as in the data analysis. So just I'm just recalling everything, and then we will move on, right? And methods of tool for data collection. So your tool should be very strong, it should be measurable, right? Then only you will get good results. Okay, good idea. So all these things you know, and we will move on. Yeah, these things you have discussed yesterday itself. Yeah, as I told you, so normality is very important. So how to check normality? If we have time, then we will do this. Otherwise, we can just skip. Yeah. So data entry. So after data entry, data cleaning should be there. The normality checking. So in between another one step is there, like coding, scoring. I would like to ask you one thing. I hope if you have done yesterday, then we can skip. Otherwise, we have to do today, right? So I will come to that little later. So then hypothesis is very important. And yeah, so you can start today's session from here itself. See, you can think about your research, any of your research. Some of you may have completed your PhD or some of you are just doing or planning to do. So think about any title of your research area, right? So your objectives should be depends on your title, right? Your objectives will lead to hypothesis. There is a connectivity between all these things. So your title will lead to your objective, and your objective leads to hypothesis. That hypothesis can be a null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, right? Um, that null hypothesis only statistically tested. Alternative hypothesis it cannot be tested, right? Then you have to select appropriate statistical test, which means from your hypothesis you have to select your statistical test based on your hypothesis only. So I will tell you friends, for example, some people they do research or they do statistical tests like when we go to the vendor shop and buying vegetables like this many kg of this vegetable and like that, right? Like that, in experience also they want to do 10 ANOVA, 10 t-test and 20 correlation like that. It cannot do like that. See, depends on your research, you have to go for statistical test. If you are studying, if you didn't need any statistical test, then you should not do. But people are trying to apply the statistics even though there is no need, right? So then carry out your statistical test and syntax. I will tell you how to use syntax, and finally you will get outcome. Then you will go for interpretation. So this is what the steps you will follow in your data analysis while you are doing the or applying the statistical tests. Fine. So give me another 2 minutes to sum up the hypothesis, because while you are doing research, data analysis, particular test, you should start with hypothesis. So let me tell you in brief what means by hypothesis and what are the types. So hypothesis is a tentative statement which can be put to test according to the thought problem. So and null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. This is the broad category of hypothesis. And the alternative hypothesis, again, it's one tail and two tail. If it contains one direction, then it's a one tail. If there is no direction, then it's a two tail. So coming in the other slides. So how to frame hypothesis? Some people they may not know how to frame hypothesis. So if it is a hypothesis, then minimum two variables should be. The two variables should be definable and measurable. And already existing relationship between the variables should be there. And that relationship should be tested empirically and statistically. So this is the basic condition for hypothesis. And these are all the steps to test the hypothesis, like state the null hypothesis, select appropriate statistical test, and fix the level of significance. And empirically means nothing but experience based. For example, qualitative research, we will do only experience based. Right? And compute test statistics, and finally you can accept or reject the null hypothesis. Hence, I am telling you again, even though you frame the alternative hypothesis, you have to convert into null hypothesis while doing your statistical test. Then you can accept or reject only the null hypothesis, not alternative hypothesis. Be careful with that. Right? Otherwise, even though you are doing everything, your entire effort, 90% of or 80% of your efforts up to the data collection, it will be right. Simply, if you miss in the data analysis, it leads to wrong results. So be careful with that.
Sir?
Yeah.
Could you please repeat? I think you're going a little faster.
Faster.
So it's
Okay.
unable to follow.
No, actually, why I'm going faster means maybe some you people are maybe familiar with this, and you very much learn SPSS. That's the I am running and stay and connect with the SPSS. That's why I'm running. It's okay. So
sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sorry.
No problem. It's my pleasure, and I will give you and I will explain this along with example a little bit later. That's why I'm running faster. Okay.
Sure, sir. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for your.
I understand the time constraints. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. So based on the results, we will compare and result everything we can interpret, but it will come in the next slides. Yep. So this is how to frame hypothesis. Yesterday you have studied how to identify the variables and how to find out that whether it is a nominal, ordinal, otherwise in other words, categorical or numerical. In simple words, if it is categorical means it will be there in an alphabet form. For example, gender, male, female. It's in alphabet form, right? If it is numerical, it will be in numbers, right? Age, it's a number, right? So categorical, numerical. Basically, two categories. Within that also subcategory is there. Nominal, ordinal comes under the categorical, and in numerical, interval and ratio will come, right? So yesterday you have studied, and this is how to frame a hypothesis. It's very simple, my dear friends and participants. So there is no difference between male and female regarding their level of pronoun, right? So this is the way of writing hypothesis. Some people they write the same hypothesis in different way. There is no difference between gender and level of burnout. Actually, it's wrong. By conceptually, we are not checking gender and burnout whether it is different or not. It's not like that. We are checking that whether male and female have any difference in their level of burnout. That's what we are checking, right? So this is the way of writing hypothesis. And how I put t-test over there? Because we are comparing categorical variable as an independent variable along with the numerical variable which is a dependent variable. So by seeing your hypothesis itself, we can find out which test you are going to use, right? So alternative hypothesis, some people they wish to go for, not some people, actually you should go for alternative hypothesis. You know why? Because your review of, based on your review of literature only, we are leading to some research, right? So based on your review of literature, you should frame some alternative hypothesis. For an example, female employees have higher level of burnout than the male employees. So this is called as the alternative hypothesis because it gives one direction. It says that female have the high level of burnout. So it's a one-tailed hypothesis. You can also say like within the alternative, it is a one-tailed. The first one, null hypothesis, it has no direction. It's a two-tailed hypothesis, right? So this is what the way of framing hypothesis. Okay, this is another way. Like if it is a correlation, you can write hypothesis like this. There is a relationship between age and level of burnout. And ANOVA means assistant professor have higher level of peer relationship than associate professor and professor. So we will go for ANOVA, right? So comparing more than two groups in the independent variable, not two groups, yeah, two attributes in the independent variable and in the dependent variable, it's a numerical, right? So let me show you the chart again. Even though you have discussed yesterday, I will show you and I will tell you the hypothesis, how to frame the hypothesis. It will come in the next slide. Yes. See, this is the simplest way of framing hypothesis. If it is a chi-square, yesterday you have done, right? So first you have to frame a hypothesis, then only you have to go for chi-square testing, right? So if it is a chi-square test, you have to frame a hypothesis. There is no association between gender and burnout, like that. So categorical versus categorical, but you have to use the word called association. I hope everyone can see my slide. Yeah. So can you understand? So if it is a chi-square or if you are comparing categorical variable versus categorical variable, you can frame a hypothesis in terms of association. If it is number versus number, means interval versus interval, then you can use the term relationship. For example, there is a relationship between age and the burnout. Okay, so then you can use, then you have to go for correlation. So this is the way of framing hypothesis, and you can go for testing, right? And significant difference, like your independent variable, it's a categorical variable, and only two categories there. For example, gender, male, female, two categories there. You want to find out whether male have high level of burnout and female have high level of burnout. So you want to find out who is high, who is low. So you have to go for significant difference test. So what are the tests will apply significant test, like independent sample t-test, per t-test, one-way ANOVA, repeated measures ANOVA, all these things will do significant difference. It will help you to find out the significant difference, whether male or female have high level of burnout, right? So then you have to go for independent sample t-test. Fine, next. In categorical, sometimes you may have more than two attributes or more than two groups, right? For an example, religion, Hindu, Christian, Muslim. So three categories there. You are comparing that with burnout. Then you have to go for one-way ANOVA, right? Then regression. So most of the time management people did, you may do this, like regression and all, right? So if you want to find out cause and effect relationship, then you have to go for regression. So what are the variables predicting the dependent variable, right? So that's what regression. And so these are all some higher order statistics, just a orientation for you. And discriminant analysis. If your independent variable is a numerical variable and dependent variable is a categorical variable. For an example, whether people like to go for tourism, yes or no, this is a dependent variable. What are the factors predicting that? Their salary, and their leisure time or their profession. So anything can predict that, right? So their independent variable can be a numerical variable and dependent variable can be categorical variable. In that case, if you want to find out the cause and effect relationship, you have to go for discriminant analysis, right? Next, move on to the factor analysis, right? So you may hear of this. Why we are using factor? So to find out or to club the statements into a factors which comes under the particular domain. See, for an example, job satisfaction. So what are the domains are there? You may use the 20 statements under the job satisfaction, but that 20 can be converted into 4 domains. So what are those 4 factors or domains? So in that case, you have to go for the exploratory factor analysis. Suppose you are using a scale and the domains are there, but you want to reconfirm according to the Indian context. In that time, you have to go for the confirmatory factor analysis, which can be used through AMOS software, analysis of moment structure, so AMOS. And path analysis, to build a model, if you want to generate a model like these are all the variables influencing, these are all the dependent variables, which means more than one dependent variable. See, friends, in regression, you can have only one dependent variable. If you want to have more than one dependent variable, you have to run more regression, more number of regression. For an example, before decades, like people, statistician, they use so many regression to frame a path analysis, means to build a model through SPSS. But nowadays it's very much easier through the AMO software, and statistics is called as a structural equation modeling. You may hear of it, sum analysis, right? So nowadays it's a trend to do the sum for the pieces. Yeah, this is what the simple orientation. Don't get panic. We will do one by one. So what are the steps I have explained to you? It will repeat again. So don't worry about that. So once you will understand one concept, then it will be easy for you. Yeah. Let us start with correlation. So I will show you an example how to run correlation. So now you know that when we have to apply correlation. So now we are going to look at how we have to run correlation, right? Yeah. So before going to do that, I would like to tell you on one more thing. I don't know whether you have discussed yesterday or not. See, basically, whenever you are going and attending the training, people will show you the model and directly they will run the test. I can also do that, but if you want to know further a little bit more, I will tell you the process. If you can't understand, you will try to practice. But if you know that already, we will skip it. Okay. See, suppose in the so this is one model, and it's occupational burnout of women police officers in Virudhunagar district. Okay, and you may have a questionnaire like 2 parts. Generally, we have 2 parts in our questionnaire. So many parts like profile of the respondents, age, educational qualification, all those things. Yes, and a scale to measure the yes. So these are all the social demographic variables: age, education, national status, number of children, all these things. You may also have these kind of things in social demographic variables in your research, right? So I will tell you one more thing. What are the questions you have? Everything except variable. Everything will be considered as an important question, right? And one more thing, burnout. So I will come to this part. See, these are all the responses. Sometime you may have given, this is called as a coding, my dear friends. So you may have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. Okay. But you may have entered same thing in the SPSS Sometimes you may enter the scoring they have given here, it's only coding, but we have to give score for that. For example, based on the question, sometimes it will be a positive question, sometimes it may be a negative question. If it is a positive question, we are going to study the burnout. Actually, emotionally draining to my work. So it shows that they said if they feel pain, then we have to give 5 marks for here. Already the coach said that it's 1, but actually you have to give 5. Higher the burnout, higher the score, higher, right? So this statement is talking about burnout. So if they are getting burnout every day, it's 5 marks. Weekly means 4 marks, E and 2 and 1. So like that, you have to give scoring. This is called as a scoring. You have discussed everything yesterday in the SPSS, how to enter the data and all. So you have two ways. One thing, you can directly enter the scoring as it is. Otherwise, first you have to enter coding, then you can convert into a scoring. Yeah, any one of you could you please tell me that whether have you discussed about scoring part yesterday or not? Scoring and reverse scoring, anything like that? Any one of you participants? You can tell me through chat box also. You can communicate. So have you discussed about scoring? Okay, let's assume that you can do that by your own. So scoring part, you have to enter value for that. Like if you go for any scale, okay, how to fill the data in SPSS, fine. See, if you know only how to fill the data in SPSS, there is another way. Like please note it down. You can go to transform. Okay, so the same example I will give you. First, your coding was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but now it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How to do that? Because already you have entered the data in SPSS as per the coding procedure, right? What you have in the questionnaire you have entered, but you want to change now. How to change that? You have to go to the transform, recode into same variable also you can use, different variable also use. If you use recode into same variable, your entire data set will be changed. So better you can have a data backup, right? Then you can go for recode into same variable. It's the easiest one, recode into same variable. If it is a recode into different variable, it will be a little bit difficult because it will generate again so many number of variables. If you are recoding 10 variable, it will generate another 10 variable, right? So I will show you example recoding the same variable, how to do that. Don't worry, it's a very simplest process. Just imagine, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are going to give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. See why I am explaining this without doing this process. If you sum up all those things, your entire results will be wrong. So that's why we need to focus on this before going for any testing of any statistical tests. So just yeah, let me give you one answer. So what are the number of variables? Even 2, 3 variables you can choose. Once I complete this, if you have any doubts, you can ask. You can feel free to ask me. So I repeat again. We go into same variable. You have to drag variables into the right side and click the old and new values. And here, old value 1, I'm going to convert as a 5, and 2, I'm going to convert as a 4, 3 into 3, 4, I'm sorry, 3 into 3, and 4 into 2, and 5 into 1. Okay, continue. So now I would like to introduce, simply you can give OK. If you will give OK, then entire data set will be changed. So what are the things you would like to change? It will be changed. Okay, now it's ready for statistical test. Right? One more step only is pending. Then we will go for statistical test. Right? So before that, I would like to introduce a term called syntax. So those who are doing PhD, it will be very useful. So you have to click on paste option. So once you will click the paste option, a new window will open, which is called as a syntax window. Okay. So what is the purpose of that syntax? It's nothing but it's like a formula. If you save a formula in a particular place, whenever you need, you can run that. Okay. So you can save every process, every statistical test, or whatever the process, decoding, or computing, everything you can save over here in the syntax. See, once you save the syntax, and simply you can click this, and if you run this, you can run the same program within a fraction of a second. See, imagine that your entire data analysis process for your PhD, you are keeping this in the syntax format. For an example, so many syntax are there, but I'm like, imagine that this is a t-test, and second one is ANOVA, and third one is correlation. If you click all those things and simply run the this coding, within a fraction of a second, you will get all the results simultaneously. So it's like a formula which you can save in the syntax form, and you can run it whenever you need, right? Um, this is only, if you want, you can learn about this, but this is not much more necessary at this point of time. So imagine that now we have completed the recoding procedure. Okay, sir, I have completed recoding procedure. So imagine that what are the independent variables you have in this model? So age is an independent variable, education, marital status. Yeah, I have all those independent variables along with the categorical descriptions. Yes, everything is there. What about burnout? I have only statements, but I need burnout as a score if I want to go for a statistical test, right? As we discussed understand the meaning of the statistical test, they simply run correlation between question number 13 and 14. Actually, it's meaningless. Can you understand? You should not run, most probably. If there is a need, you can justify and run, but most probably it won't come. Don't run correlation between the statements. Okay. So actually, burnout, the level of burnout means you have to add all the statements after completing your scoring procedure. We are giving scoring to all the statements. After giving scoring, you have to add all the scoring of the statements. So how to do that? So next step, please note it down, everyone. How to compute, how to add the number of statements. So for that, you have to go to transform compute variable.